The courtroom was colder than she expected, not because of the air conditioning, but because of how her husband, the man she built her life with, refused to look her in the eye. Beside him sat a woman half her age. Long nails, designer bag, fake sympathy, and a smirk that screamed, "I won." Vanessa Carter, 35, African-American business consultant, wife for 10 years. She sat straight, her hands trembling under the table. Across from her, her husband whispered something to his mistress and chuckled. The sound hit harder than any slap. "Judge, Mrs. Carter, are you sure you want to proceed with this divorce?" Vanessa, softly. "He's already gone, Your Honor." The judge nodded, and that's when her husband leaned forward, voice dripping with arrogance. "She's just bitter I moved on. You know how these women get, these women." 2 words that froze everyone for a second. The judge looked up sharply. Vanessa's lawyer shifted uncomfortably, and the mistress giggled. Vanessa didn't speak. She didn't need to, because the look in her eyes said everything. Humiliation, disbelief, and fire. But that moment, those words would change everything about how this case ended. If you're watching this, tell me where you're from in the comments, hit like, and subscribe, because what happens next will make your jaw drop. Just 6 months ago, Vanessa thought her life was perfect. She had a husband who said all the right things, a good job, a home they bought together in Atlanta. But behind that picture-perfect life, something dark had already begun to grow. Back then, Vanessa still believed in balance. Work hard, love harder. She'd earned her promotion at the consulting firm after years of grinding. Late nights, coffee for dinner, and endless meetings where she was often the only black woman in the room. When she came home that night, she expected celebration. Instead, he barely looked up from his phone. "Vanessa, did you hear what I said?" "I got the promotion." Husband, flatly. "Yeah, congrats, I guess." That "I guess" felt heavier than it should have. She brushed it off, told herself he was tired. But deep down, something shifted. The next few weeks were filled with small digs. "You think you're better than me now, huh? They only picked you because they needed diversity. Must be nice getting special treatment." Each word sliced deeper than the last. He laughed after saying them, called them jokes. But the laughter didn't reach his eyes. Vanessa stopped celebrating her wins, stopped sharing ideas. She shrank so he wouldn't feel small. And then came the whispers. His phone face down. Late nights. Sudden gym memberships and cologne that wasn't his. Her gut told her the truth long before her mind accepted it. And when she finally checked his phone one night while he was in the shower, it all came crashing down. Messages, photos, a name she didn't recognize, and words that burned into her memory. "She's nothing like you. She's easier to handle." Vanessa didn't scream, didn't throw anything. She just stared at the screen, her reflection trembling in the glass. All this time she thought she was losing him because she wasn't enough. But now she saw the truth. He didn't want a partner. He wanted control, and yet she stayed, because sometimes love doesn't leave even when it's dying. But soon she'd learn he didn't just cheat on her heart. He humiliated her in a way she never imagined. It was a Tuesday morning, ordinary, until it wasn't. Vanessa was in a meeting pitching a new client strategy when the receptionist knocked on the glass door. Vanessa, someone's here to see you." She frowned. "I'm in a meeting." She said it's personal. When Vanessa stepped into the hallway, she froze. There she was, the woman from the text messages. Perfect curls, glossy lips, wearing the same perfume Vanessa once loved. The mistress smiled, tilting her head with practiced sweetness. "Oh, hey, you must be Vanessa. I just came to drop this off." In her hand, an envelope. Vanessa didn't move. "What's that?" "Divorce papers. He said you've been stalling." Her voice was honeyed, smug. And in that moment, Vanessa realized this woman wasn't there to deliver papers. She was there to deliver humiliation. Colleagues had stepped out of their offices, watching, phones recording quietly. Whispers rippled down the hallway. Vanessa's throat tightened, but she refused to give the satisfaction of a scene. She reached for the envelope with steady hands. "You can tell him he'll get his signature, but not his peace," the mistress laughed, stepping closer. "Oh, he already has peace. He's with someone who actually listens." Something inside Vanessa broke, but something else also woke. Her calm, fierce kind of strength. She smiled. Just a small, sharp smile. "Good, because peace doesn't last long when it's built on someone else's pain." The woman blinked, thrown off, then turned and walked away, heels clicking like gunshots across the tile. Vanessa stood there, eyes burning, until the whispers died. Then she walked back into her meeting as if nothing happened. But the second the door closed behind her, her hands trembled, and tears blurred her vision. She signed the papers that night, quietly, without a word. But little did she know, those papers would lead her right back into the courtroom, where her husband and his mistress would face a judge who didn't tolerate disrespect. And what happened there would shock everyone. 3 weeks later, Vanessa walked into Fulton County Courthouse wearing a gray suit that matched her calm. No makeup, no jewelry, just quiet dignity. Her husband stood across the aisle, smug and polished. His mistress sat right beside him, holding his hand like this was a wedding, not a divorce hearing. She even waved at Vanessa, like they were friends. Judge, before we proceed, I'd like to remind both parties this is a court of law, not a stage. The husband leaned toward his mistress, whispering something that made her laugh under her breath. The judge noticed. Judge, Mr. Carter, is this amusing to you? Husband, smirking. No, Your Honor, just ready to move on from the past. Judge, then act like it. Vanessa's lawyer stood, calm but sharp. He placed a thick folder on the table. Your Honor, before we discuss settlement, we'd like to submit evidence of verbal harassment and defamation, statements made publicly by Mr. Carter and his companion. The husband blinked. What evidence? Her lawyer opened a file, screenshots, messages, even social media posts. Posts where his mistress had called Vanessa a bitter black woman who couldn't keep her man. The judge's face hardened instantly. Judge, is this true, Ms. Lacey? Mistress, stammering. I was just joking. Judge, racism and humiliation aren't jokes in my courtroom. The room went silent. Even the husband's smirk faded. Vanessa didn't gloat. She didn't need to. Her silence was louder than any speech. The judge continued, voice cold and firm. Mrs. Carter, you've shown restraint and grace through this process. You will receive full spousal compensation and half of all shared assets. Mr. Carter, consider yourself lucky I'm not holding you in contempt for public harassment. Her husband's face turned red. The mistress looked like she wanted to disappear, and yet even after all that, Vanessa didn't smile, because she knew justice wasn't just about money. It was about dignity. As she walked out of that courtroom, cameras flashed. Reporters whispered, but Vanessa didn't stop to speak. She just whispered under her breath, "You said I wasn't your type anymore. Turns out I wasn't your level either." But what Vanessa didn't know was that this wasn't the end, because the mistress wasn't done humiliating her yet. For a few weeks after the court hearing, things went quiet. Vanessa went back to work. She tried to rebuild herself piece by piece, morning walks, journaling, therapy. Her peace was fragile, but it was hers, until one afternoon her phone started buzzing non-stop, text after text, missed calls, notifications from co-workers, clients, even old friends, and then one message froze her. From her assistant, "Vanessa, there's a video of you going around. You need to see this." Her hands trembled as she clicked the link. It was her, recorded during that awful confrontation months ago when the mistress had shown up at her office, but it was edited, manipulated, cut to make her look angry, unhinged, the crazy ex-wife. The caption read, "When the bitter ex can't handle losing her man, Jagol Digger her drama queen," and it was posted by the mistress herself. Within hours, the video had thousands of views. The comments were brutal. "This woman needs therapy. Always playing the victim. No wonder he left her." Vanessa's stomach churned. Her throat tightened. Every bit of progress she'd made ripped away in seconds. She locked herself in her apartment, curtains drawn, heart racing. The humiliation was unbearable. All those years of hard work, now reduced to a viral clip taken out of context. Her lawyer called the next morning. "We can file for defamation, Vanessa. This violates your court agreement. You want to press charges?" But she didn't answer right away, because something inside her shifted again, something colder, stronger. "No," she finally said. "I'm not just pressing charges. I'm taking my name back publicly." She took a deep breath, opened her laptop, and began typing. That night, Vanessa posted her own video. No filters, no fancy lighting, just her, sitting in her living room, raw and real. "My name is Vanessa Carter. I've been mocked, cheated on, and lied about. But here's one thing I won't be silent." She told the truth. Every word clear, honest, powerful. The internet fell quiet, but little did she know, her honesty was about to spark something much bigger than revenge. It was going to start a movement. The morning after Vanessa uploaded her video, she didn't expect anything. No validation, no sympathy, just silence. But when she woke up, her phone was vibrating non-stop. Hundreds of messages, thousands of comments. Her video had gone viral, not because of drama, but because of truth. Women from all over the country began sharing their own stories. Different races, different ages, but the same pain, being disrespected, labeled, and silenced. Someone had started a hashtag, hear her side, and within days it exploded. Vanessa watched as her face appeared on news clips, podcasts, and talk shows, not as the bitter ex-wife, but as the woman who refused to stay quiet. Still, not everyone was supportive. Her husband went on social media, claiming she was lying for attention. The mistress doubled down, saying Vanessa was playing the race card. But this time, Vanessa didn't hide. She appeared on a local news interview, sitting tall and calm. Reporter: Vanessa, do you feel this was about more than infidelity? Vanessa: absolutely. When a woman of color stands up for herself, she's called angry. When she stays quiet, she's ignored. Either way, we lose. I just chose to stop losing. That clip alone hit 1 million views overnight. Even people who once mocked her began apologizing publicly, and then came a message that stunned her from someone inside the courthouse, a clerk who had seen how she was treated. He wrote, Mrs. Carter, the judge saw that viral video. You might want to come in next week. There's been a development, Vanessa frowned. A development? The case was closed. What more could happen? But when she walked into the courthouse days later, she found out something that would turn the entire story upside down, because the judge wasn't done yet. He'd called both her husband and the mistress back into court for contempt of court and defamation, and this time Vanessa wasn't the one on trial. They were. The woman who was once humiliated would now watch the people who mocked her face the same public shame. The courthouse felt different this time. No trembling hands, no silent tears, just Vanessa, calm, steady, and stronger than ever. Her husband and his mistress were already there when she walked in. He looked annoyed. She looked terrified. And this time they sat apart. The courtroom buzzed with quiet tension. When the judge entered, even the air seemed to hold its breath. Judge: I called this hearing due to new evidence regarding harassment and online defamation following the divorce. He paused. Both of you were warned. Any further misconduct would have consequences. The mistress stared at the floor. Her husband crossed his arms, trying to look unbothered. Judge sternly: Do either of you deny posting a video mocking Mrs. Carter? Husband: That was her idea, Your Honor. I didn't. Mistress snapping: You told me to do it. Don't act innocent now. The courtroom erupted. Vanessa sat quietly, hands folded, watching the chaos she didn't create. The judge raised his hand. Silence. I've seen enough. You both publicly humiliated a woman who followed the law and respected this court. That's contempt and defamation. Gasps echoed through the room. The mistress began to cry softly. Her husband turned pale. Judge: Mr. Carter, you will pay an additional fine for violation of the divorce conduct order. Ms. Lacey, you'll submit a public apology to Mrs. Carter within 72 hours to be posted on the same platform where you spread lies. Vanessa's eyes glistened, but she didn't smile. Justice wasn't sweet. It was solemn. Judge firmly: And one more thing. This court commends Mrs. Carter for her composure and integrity. You've shown that dignity doesn't need to shout to be heard. For the first time, Vanessa felt something deeper than relief. Closure. As they were escorted out, her ex turned back for just a second. He opened his mouth, maybe to speak, but she simply looked at him. Not angry, not broken, just done. Outside, reporters swarmed. Cameras flashed. Someone shouted, Vanessa, how does it feel to finally win? She paused, then said quietly, It's not about winning. It's about reminding people that silence has a cost. And so does cruelty. That clip would go viral too, not because she exposed anyone this time, but because she showed the world how to stand tall after being torn down. But even after all that justice, Vanessa's story still had one more twist. A month after the final hearing, life had started to feel normal again. Vanessa was finally breathing freely. She had moved into a new apartment downtown. Fresh paint, sunlight pouring through tall windows, not a trace of the past. She was working again. Her firm had quietly reinstated her after realizing the drama wasn't her fault. Clients were calling back, and for the first time in months she slept peacefully. Until one morning, a letter arrived, no return address. Just her name written neatly on the envelope. Vanessa hesitated before opening it. Her hands shook slightly, because she had learned that peace can be fragile and ghosts don't always stay buried. Inside was a short, handwritten note. It said, You don't know me, but I used to work with your ex-husband. I saw what he did to you and I couldn't stay quiet anymore. He lied about everything, even the money in your joint accounts. Check your bank records from last year. He moved funds without your consent. Her heart skipped a beat. She read the letter again. And again, could it be true? He had already embarrassed her publicly, taken her dignity through betrayal, but stealing from her too. She rushed to her laptop, logged into her old bank account and began scrolling. And there it was. Multiple withdrawals made just before the divorce. Tens of thousands of dollars. Her blood went cold. He had drained their savings account before filing. Every penny they'd saved for a down payment on a house, gone. Vanessa leaned back in her chair, staring at the ceiling. She had been so focused on surviving the emotional storm that she'd missed the financial one. For a moment, rage burned inside her. Then came clarity. Because this wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about accountability. She picked up her phone and called her lawyer. Vanessa, I need to reopen the case. I just found something. Lawyer, what kind of something? Vanessa, proof that he stole from me. I'm done being his victim. Her voice didn't shake this time. It was steady, solid. Her lawyer paused. All right, Vanessa, let's make this right. That letter reignited a fire she thought was gone. But as she prepared to face him again, she had no idea that her next move would not only expose theft, it would expose something much darker that neither the judge nor the public knew about, something that would destroy his reputation forever. The lawyer's office was quiet, too quiet. Vanessa sat across from her attorney, a folder of printed bank statements trembling in her hands. Lawyer, you're right. These transfers weren't authorized. He funneled money from your joint savings into a private account. Vanessa, can we trace it? Lawyer, we can. But Vanessa, where he sent it, that's what's strange. He slid the file across the table. There were 3 large transactions, each labeled under a consulting project. But the company name was unfamiliar. Lacey Initiatives LLC. Vanessa's eyes widened. Lacey? That's her last name. Her lawyer nodded slowly. He wasn't just cheating with her. He was paying her, setting her up financially with your shared money. For a long moment, Vanessa said nothing. She could barely breathe. All those nights he'd told her he was working late. He'd been building a business with his mistress, using her hard-earned money. We'll file immediately, her lawyer said. Embezzlement, fraud. If we win, he could lose everything, including his new company. Vanessa closed her eyes. She didn't want revenge, but she needed the truth to matter. For once, 2 weeks later, the case reopened. News broke fast. Ex-husband of viral Hear-Her-Side woman under investigation for financial fraud. Social media exploded again. People remembered the courtroom, the humiliation, the lies. And now everyone saw what Vanessa had been dealing with all along. Not just betrayal, but manipulation and theft. The mistress, who had once mocked Vanessa online, deleted her accounts overnight. The husband issued a weak statement, claiming it was a misunderstanding. But the bank records didn't lie. In court, Vanessa didn't gloat. She just sat quietly as her ex tried to talk his way out of it. Judge, Mr. Carter, did you or did you not transfer marital funds into an account owned by Ms. Lacey? Husband, I was investing. I planned to pay her back. Judge, investing without your spouse's consent is theft. You don't get to rewrite definitions here. The gavel slammed. Case closed. Vanessa was awarded full restitution, legal costs, and a public apology to be issued by both him and his mistress. But even as she stepped out of the courthouse, the judge's ruling spread across every major outlet by morning. Man ordered to publicly apologize to ex-wife after racist and financial misconduct. The headline alone was enough to stop people scrolling. Vanessa didn't go online that day. She didn't need to. Her piece didn't live on social media anymore. But when the apology video finally went up, the internet exploded. Her ex sat stiffly beside the same woman who'd once mocked Vanessa on camera. Now there was no smugness in her eyes, just regret. Ex-husband reading shakily, I publicly humiliated and defamed my ex-wife Vanessa Carter. I made false statements about her, violated court orders, and used our shared assets without consent. I take full responsibility and deeply apologize for the harm and disrespect I caused. Then the mistress spoke. Her voice cracked halfway through. To Vanessa, I'm sorry for the things I said, the video I made, and the hurt I caused. I let jealousy and pride blind me. You didn't deserve it. The video was mandatory, court-ordered. But the comments that followed weren't what Vanessa expected. People weren't laughing. They were applauding her. Thousands of women flooded the comments. Vanessa, you gave us strength. This apology isn't just for you, it's for all of us who've been silenced. And for the first time in months, she smiled. Not out of pride, but out of peace. That night she walked to her balcony, city lights glittering below. The breeze was soft against her face, and she whispered almost to herself, they tried to break me publicly. But I healed publicly too. She wasn't just a divorced woman anymore. She was a symbol of what happens when truth refuses to stay quiet. Weeks later, she launched a small foundation, the Carter Initiative, to help women facing workplace discrimination, online defamation, and abuse. It wasn't revenge. It was purpose. Every donation, every story shared, reminded her of how far she'd come. The same court that once witnessed her humiliation had witnessed her redemption. And in that quiet full-circle moment, Vanessa realized, sometimes justice doesn't roar. Sometimes it whispers, you made it. Racism and sexism often hide behind polished smiles and subtle cruelty. But truth, no matter how buried, always finds light. Vanessa's story is a reminder that dignity is the loudest answer to discrimination, and silence can be powerful when it's filled with grace. What would you have done in Vanessa's place? Would you have stayed quiet or fought back like she did? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more true stories about strength, resilience, and standing tall against injustice.